There's really only one way to start this review. Time for Time Force. Hey writers, my name is Hawkillies and I am obviously a Power Rangers tuber now. I'm totally kidding, but this is our second PR video in a row. For good reason. Today we are talking about Boom Studios' original graphic novel, Power Rangers Sins of the Past. And as someone whose favorite Power Ranger season is Time Force, step aside Tommy Oliver, Jen Scott is the GOAT of every Power Rangers universe. I was so freaking excited when this was announced. The two original graphic novels before this, those being Soul of the Dragon and The Psychopath, both gave a heavy dose of nostalgia while adding to the Power Rangers pathos in interesting ways, setting up Sins of the Future with a high bar to measure up to. But how is it? Well, let's get to your spoiler-free review first. Sins of the Future picks up after the events of Power Rangers Time Force, but before Shattered Grid and Hyperforce. More on that later. Jen and Wes are having trouble trying to keep up their long-distance relationships. They both have their own responsibilities, they are moving forward in their careers. Oh, and they live in different time periods, which means any visit they make can change something from the future or the past. Despite all that, the couple try to keep their love afloat until they come to an ultimatum. And that's the premise of the story. And if this sounds like some sort of soap opera more than it does a comic, well, welcome to Power Rangers Time Force. The original series had the most drama we'd gotten up until that point. Where earlier seasons just kind of danced around the romance of it, Time Force made it an absolute through line of the show. The comic writer Matthew Erman takes that idea and absolutely expands upon it here. If you have heavy nostalgia for the season and you want more of Wes and Jen, then this is the comic for you. If you want more of the rest of the Time Force team, it's maybe not the comic for you. The Time Force crew makes little more than cameos, and while it's kind of how the show operated, it's also kind of the main complaint people had about the show. It would have been nice to see a little more of the team here, especially because they're connected to Wes and Jen so well. I think a lot of that expanded cast that's later in the book could have been filled out with Lucas and Trip and Katie just as much. My other complaint is that time travel comics can get kind of messy. It can get even more messy when you're jumping through alternate timelines. I had to read multiple panels a couple of times before I really figured out what was going on. There's something lost between each panel that you don't really get in movies and television. On the plus side, this book gives Time Force fans more of what they love. Erman understands these characters. His Jen is the headstrong and sometimes apprehensive leader that she always is, while Wes struggles because his carefree mindset gets in the way of his role with the Silver Guardians. There's also some surprise characters that show up from the show that I won't spoil here, but their interpretations are interesting to say the least. All in all, this book is filled with a lot of good. Time Force fans will find something to latch onto and think about for years to come. And fans that have never seen Time Force will be treated to a good introduction of one of the greatest Power Rangers of all the timelines. So go pick up the book and enjoy my personal favorite team of Rangers. Now, if you've already read it, this section's for you because we're going full spoilers. One thing I love about this book is that it made a point that Wes is an integral part of Time Force. Granted, it was because of Alex rather than the fact that Wes and Eric are literally the two people that built Time Force. Regarding Syra, the new Time Force Black Ranger, I feel like her identity was kind of shoehorned in. She's supposed to be Alex's sister who's distraught from his death and resurrection, but the fact that she's not mentioned in the show kind of dilutes it a little bit. I think the role might have been a little better delivered by Alex himself, whose mind would have been shattered by time shenanigans and whatnot. I just think it would have fit more in line with the show. And some things in this book felt weirdly and wildly out of place. Yeah, there's a cool shot of the Dragon Zord that makes sense where it is. But then the panels where it shows Frax's experiments definitely allude to Zordon being the experimentee. It just feels a little too thrown in there rather than something that adds to the lore. Something that I do think added to the lore is that this is the origin story of Outpost 1. Seen in a panel during Shattered Grid, Outpost 1 was mentioned as the HQ for the Time Force Power Rangers. While here, Jen explains that Outpost 1 is going to be the headquarters of all Power Rangers across all universes and all the timelines. And I love that. I think it gives other writers a really solid idea to jump off from in stories to come. Boom's PR universe has never not felt connected since Shattered Grid. Each story is built upon the last while still being an enjoyable standalone read. And Outpost 1 is an idea that I can't wait to see fully realized into a command center for every team. But as always, I want to know what you think. Leave your opinion of the book in the comments section down below. Don't forget, I stream on Twitch every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, 7 p.m. at night and 7 a.m. in the morning on Saturdays. Also, I want to be your friend. Come find me on any social media. They are all right there on the screen. Please, 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 if you can, henshin that like button into a blue boy and rider kick that subscribe button. I will be super Sentai grateful. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.